I, female 30, am single and child-free by choice. I date occasionally but no long-term relationships. This is due to many reasons. I love my freedom, I want to enjoy my life unencumbered with responsibilities, and I want to really focus on my career. My older brother, 34, got married when he was 26. He has 2 daughters, pre-tween and preschooler. They had a traditional household. He wanted a partner who stayed home and looked after the family while he earned. She had apparently dreamed of being a homemaker and taking care of children, but she showed signs of hating it for the last couple of years. She wanted to study more and work outside, build something of her own, but my brother refused to step up or help. I warned him once, but he told me it's none of my business how he runs his household. I kept my mouth shut since. His wife left him a month ago. She just wrote him a letter saying she can't do this and wants to explore her life. She left the kids with him and basically vanished. We have no idea where she is, and it appears neither does her family. The thing is, my brother doesn't know how to do even the most essential things. He's the kind of guy who never changed a diaper or toasted bread. When my brother found out his wife had left, he called my mother, who rushed in to save the day. She thought it was short-term and my sister-in-law would be back, but she hasn't. My father is unwell and needs her home soon. They live hours away. My brother suggested she take the kids home with her. My dad said no. He's retired and they're both getting old. He doesn't want to have kids in the house full-time, taking up her time and energy. Since that was a no-go, my brother asked me to either move in with them to help out or take the kids in with me. I refused. From what I see, he's a grown adult and these kids are his responsibility. I chose to live the way I do and do not want to sacrifice my life for his choices. My family is pressuring me, saying stuff like how my brother doesn't know how to take care of kids, how little girls need a woman, how family helps family, etc. My brother is calling me cold-hearted for not even trying to help him. Am I the idiot? Edit, he told me to either move in with them or take the girls to my home when my mom leaves, like substituting for mom for my nieces. Not the idiot. Necessity is the mother of invention, as the saying goes. He will have to learn quickly, as is his duty and responsibility as a father. How did he get to be so chauvinistic in this era? He's not asking you to help, he's asking you to give him your entire life to take over his responsibilities. It's 100% not your problem. He should find and pay for childcare first, and then focus on running a household. It's a shame that his wife couldn't sit him down and make him realize this changes or I'm leaving. But that's not your fault. You even warned him and he refused to listen. I feel sorry for the girls that their father is trying to foist them off on anyone willing to take them, or even someone unwilling. He can take some parenting classes. If he makes enough money to afford one parent to be stay-at-home, maybe he can hire a part-time nanny. Don't let your family guilt you into this. None of this is your responsibility. Also, why should you know how to raise kids better than him? Oh, it's because you're a woman. And I bet the dad had told the girls that they would stay with Grandma and Grandpa before they said no. Then he probably told the girls that their aunt would stay too. And I bet he's framing it to the kids as Grandma, Grandpa don't want you, your aunt doesn't want you, etc. From their perspective, these kids are being abandoned and rejected by every adult in their lives. I feel so incredibly sad for them. Update: am I the idiot for not helping my brother when his wife left him? My brother refused to learn anything during the month my mom stayed at his house. My dad is like him. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and catered to them both. She taught only me to cook, clean, do laundry and serve. One of the main reasons I stay away from relationships. Sister-in-law is still missing. If my brother had filed a report for a missing person or got an investigation agency involved, we may be able to locate her. But he's not doing either. It's more like her number is no longer in use. She hadn't told anyone where she was going, kind of thing. My brother is not exactly chasing her down. He's waiting her out thinking she'll be back. I think my sister-in-law will come back, but I don't think it will be soon. Knowing her, she'll try to make something of herself somewhere and won't be back until she does. She had plans to go to college. She hasn't gone to one before. He didn't support her. Her family didn't support her. She told me once she wished she could run away. With the timing and everything, she may have gone somewhere to go to college. She's taken all her documents. She doesn't have friends here that I know of. My brother doesn't exactly give her money for fun stuff, and after the oldest baby was born, she never had time. She only ever hung out with me, mostly because I don't mind her bringing kids with her, and I would cover for her because they don't have money for a babysitter. I think she left the kids here because she can't support them and probably thought it would be better for them to be here where they have a home. I don't think she's callous or malicious, just frustrated, backed into a corner, and making hard choices. OP, not your circus, not your monkeys. But for the rest, I've watched too much true crime, I believe. No one knows where she is. She left her children just like that. Can't you or your parents file that report? I really find it suspicious. Maybe she really left. But I do not think that mothers do that often without any mental problems. I don't accuse him, but I think the police should be involved to check it out. Dad is 100% living in denial. If he files the report, it becomes real that she left. OP, your brother has some nerve calling you cold-hearted when he's trying to give his children away to anyone who will take them. I bet his wife just got fed up with his BS. I'm sorry for your nieces and sister-in-law. Still, your brother is a misogynistic idiot who deserves no help from you. If your family isn't willing to sacrifice themselves to rescue your brother, how can they expect you to sacrifice yourself? I'd stop communicating with all of them. However, OP, please file a missing person report. Update 2. Am I the idiot for not helping my brother when his wife left him? In the update I'd given, no one knew where she was based on the info I was given by my mother. She told me they'd communicated with sister-in-law's parents as well. Hearing that she'd taken all her documents and per her note, I trusted that she'd gone somewhere where she could study and make something of herself. But a lot of comments had me questioning it all. Many of you wanted me to file a report as a missing person. What I realized is that my parents and I not filing it made sense. We know and trust my brother. But why didn't my sister-in-law's parents file a report? They should have been more suspicious, right? So I called sister-in-law's mom. She didn't sound worried or sad, so I was more suspicious. I asked if she knew where sister-in-law was. She said they didn't know. Sister-in-law said nothing to them, etc. I told her I would file a report today to know if she was safe. Her mom panicked at that and told me not to, that sister-in-law will come home when she's ready. I told her that I had to file a report unless I knew she was safe. She kept insisting I didn't have to. I was very suspicious. 5 minutes after my call, I got a call from an unknown number. It was sister-in-law. She was panicking and more or less begged me not to file a report. Turns out she was in another state, crashing with distant family. She really did want to go to college and my brother was not letting her. She had a huge fight with him about all that the week before she left. She was really depressed and feeling stuck. Her parents loaned her some cash through a church friend who helped her escape. She begged me not to file a report, saying he would sue her for child support and she could barely support herself and go to college. I told her abandoning her kids was wrong. She cried when she said she knew and hoped they could forgive her. She really couldn't live this life anymore. Leaving them was the hardest decision she ever made, but she felt it was better than taking them and letting them starve with her. At least here they have a home and family. I did ask why she couldn't just divorce my brother then. She said she didn't have the money for a lawyer or anything, no home to return to. She's not proud of it, but said she couldn't stay and fight. She didn't tell me where exactly she was, didn't want to risk it, asked me not to give her number to my family. I did tell her about the situation with her kids. She just said my brother will figure it out. She cannot help in any way right now. She will come back to her babies when she can. Good grief, people suck. Figure out your life before you procreate. Everyone's the idiot, not for not helping out physically with the children, but for not giving the number to your brother. His wife is no better than a deadbeat dad running away from paying child support. She needs to be taken to court and made to pay. She needs to get a job and figure it out. She needs to deal with the consequences of her actions, no different than your brother does with his. I, 43 female, am close friends with my neighbour, 42 female, and we both have kids that attend the same high school. We don't live far from the school, but it's not really walking distance. My neighbour has work early in the morning and there's no one home when her son has to go to school, so I've always let him ride with me and my son. As for picking him up, my son has football practice directly after school, so I don't need to pick him up. However, my neighbour's son doesn't have any practices, so I find myself going to pick him up often. His dad can pick him up, but he also works a lot and goes on business trips almost every other week. So again, it's mostly just me. Earlier this week, my neighbour was off work and I asked her if she minded taking my son to school with hers since I had a work call that morning I had to take. She said no, which took me aback since I figured she'd just do it. I asked her why and she said, "You're home, you can take him." I was speechless, so I took my son that day and she took hers. I called her later that day and told her I thought it was pretty rude that she wouldn't take my son when I take hers every single day. She told me her son has no other option while mine does. I told her she should show some more appreciation for me because if it weren't for me, her son would be walking 3 miles to and from school daily. She still kept repeating the same thing, that I'm home so I can take my son. I told her that if that's how she feels, I'm not taking her son anymore. She screamed at me, but I just hung up. I stuck to my words, and yesterday I didn't take him to school, so he had to walk. He ended up being late, and my neighbour texted me an angry message about how I was ruining her son's attendance. My husband noticed the text and asked what it was about. I told him what happened, and he told me that although our neighbour was being a pain in the butt, I shouldn't just refuse to take her son because it wasn't his fault and it was too far to be walking. Now I don't know if I'm wrong or what to do. I feel like it's reasonable to not want to take him anymore since my neighbour doesn't value what I've done for him. Still, I also see my husband's point that it isn't her son's fault and 3 miles is a pretty long distance to walk. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but your neighbour sure is. It sounds like you've been a huge help, even going out of your way to pick him up when your own son didn't need a ride. Her feeling entitled instead of grateful says much about who she is. While I feel bad for the kid, it's his mother's fault for being unwilling to return the favour. Yeah, if that's what OP considers a close friend, I don't want to see her enemies. Your neighbour has no issue taking advantage of your generosity, letting her kid always get rides. She was petty and rude when you asked for a favour in reciprocation. She messed around and found out. Sucks that the kid has to walk, but that's also the consequence of his mom being an idiot. I'd probably talk to the dad since he needs to be driving their kid now. Context. I'm 31 with 2 young boys, a full-time 12-hour shift worker, and I'm in a full-time doctorate program. My husband is therefore the primary caregiver many nights when I'm working. We have full-time daycare during the day and he works from home. The other night we had a date night planned. We were going out to dinner, then had plans to go to a bonfire with friends. We got a sitter, I got all done up. Dinner started great but hit a sour note when my husband commented that he was disappointed we weren't doing something more exciting. I took it to heart because I was excited about the night we'd planned, so I was moody and quiet. We were still in a tiff heading home to change for the bonfire. When it came time to meet our friends, they said they were finishing dinner, having a drink or two at a nearby restaurant, and asked us to join. My husband stated that he'd rather take the time to nap than meet us for the bonfire afterward. I did say I'd prefer he come with me, but he declined. So I went, had one drink, then returned to get him for the bonfire. He texted while I was out and said he'd thrown up but still planned to go to the bonfire. I returned to pick him up and asked if he still felt like going to the bonfire, and he said no. I asked if he wanted me to pick up the kids from the sitter early and get them to bed so he didn't have to while I was with our friends. His response was, "I don't care, I don't really want to go get them." So I went to pick them up, brought them back and got them to bed. He was still distant, so I left to follow through with the original plans. I was out for 2.5 hours and got home before midnight. I cared for the kids so he could attend a golf tournament with his 2 guy friends for 9 hours the following day. When he returned from golfing, he expressed frustration that I'd left him that night, stating that he'd never leave me when I was sick and that the point of the night wasn't to go see friends, it was to spend time together. I explained that I worked non-stop and getting out of our house, out of routine, and having time to laugh and joke with friends was important. I explained that I would have instead spent the time with him, but he never, at the time, indicated that he wanted the time together. He wasn't feeling great and just wanted to go to bed. I texted him several positive and caring messages while I was out and got no response. He insists that no good wife would leave their sick husband to spend time with friends when the plan was to spend the night together, saying I ditched him. I said he should have expressed to me that the time together was important to him and not cold toward me, expecting me to abandon our plans and sit at home again, then cover for his golf outing with friends for 9 hours the following day. Not the idiot, but your husband sure is for trying to turn the argument around on you. Why don't you point out how he ditched you for 9 hours of golfing with his friends even though he felt bad the night before? That sure was a fast stomach bug. This is what I took away as well. He obviously recuperates quickly though. He said, no good wife would do what OP did. I've had my share of disagreements with my husband where we didn't appreciate each other's behaviour. Some of them were pretty heated, but we would never ever call each other a bad wife or husband, which is what this guy is essentially saying. OP's husband is not just an idiot, he is, at the very least, emotionally abusive. He was only sick enough to ruin her fun, not his own. Bingo. Same crap my ex-husband used to do. OP, you didn't leave him high and dry trying to take care for the kids when ill. If he was in fact ill, which I sincerely doubt, you did all the parenting so he could wallow. To summarize, you had a few hours with friends, he had an entire day, and he's annoyed with you? He's a narcissistic manipulator who gaslights you. Run, girl, run. If not for yourself, then for your children. Be a good wife and get the heck out of there.